If a man can control his emotions, what in this world could possibly control him? Power doesn't begin with wealth, influence, or dominance. It begins in the mind. The moment a man learns to master his emotions, he becomes untouchable. Because the world's chaos only has power over those who are still ruled by their own storms. The Stoics knew this long before psychology gave it names: emotional regulation, cognitive detachment, inner locus of control. To them, these weren't techniques, they were liberation. A man ruled by emotion is a man ruled by the external. He rises and falls according to what others say, what others do, what others think of him. One insult and his peace collapses. One delay and his purpose vanishes. But the man who governs his reactions walks through the same chaos as everyone else and remains unshaken. His calmness terrifies the shallow, confuses the impulsive, and attracts those who secretly crave what he possesses: mastery. It's not that the Stoic doesn't feel. He feels everything, deeply. But he refuses to be enslaved by what he feels. Seneca wrote that, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality, and that is the battlefield the Stoic trains for." The invisible war between impulse and reason, between emotion and principle. In a world where everyone is screaming to be heard, the man who listens to his own silence becomes the most powerful voice in the room. When a storm comes, the undisciplined man looks for someone to blame. The Stoic looks within. He asks, "What did this awaken in me? What illusion did it destroy?" That's the difference between the weak and the wise. The weak fight the world. The wise study their own response to it. Every moment of anger, jealousy, or fear becomes a mirror, reflecting something unmastered inside. To the Stoic, even pain is a form of education. You live in a time that rewards reaction. The faster you respond, the more visible you become. Outrage is currency. Calmness is seen as passivity. But to the Stoic, calmness is precision. It means your emotions have passed through the fire of reflection and emerged purified. You no longer react, you choose. And that choice, repeated across days and decades, forges the mind of a man who cannot be manipulated. Think of the moments that tested you most, the betrayal that burned your chest, the silence that made you feel invisible, the uncertainty that made you question everything you believed. In each of those moments, something inside you wanted to lash out, to prove, to win. But the Stoic path demands restraint, not suppression, restraint. The difference is everything. Suppression buries emotion, restraint transforms it. Suppression leads to bitterness, restraint leads to mastery. To control emotion does not mean to erase it, it means to place it in its rightful order. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That sentence is both a warning and a freedom. It means no one can make you angry without your consent. No event can disturb your peace unless you allow it. You are responsible for the temperature of your inner world. The world may rage, but your mind remains your kingdom. In the language of Jungian psychology, this mastery over emotion is the beginning of individuation, the process of becoming whole. The shadow, that unconscious chaos within you, is tamed not through denial, but through dialogue. The Stoic doesn't repress his anger. He observes it, traces it, understands its roots, and integrates it into strength. Every emotion you control becomes a soldier serving your higher purpose. Every emotion you ignore becomes a rebel waiting for the right moment to destroy you. And so, calmness becomes both shield and sword. It's not merely about peace, it's about power. The kind of power that comes from no longer needing to prove, defend, or explain yourself to those who feed on reaction. When you can sit in the midst of noise and remain centered, you become a mirror in which the world sees its own chaos. That's why calm people unsettle others. They reveal how little control most people truly have. To master emotion is to enter a different dimension of existence. The chaos outside still moves, but it no longer dictates your internal weather. You act, not from habit or fear, but from clarity. And from that clarity, you begin to build a life that is no longer reactionary, but deliberate, sovereign, and free. The world is loud, endless noise competing for your attention, each voice demanding that you react. Outrage sells, fear spreads, and anxiety becomes the rhythm of the age. People scroll through chaos as if it were oxygen, feeding on conflict to feel alive. Yet amid this storm, the Stoic walks slowly, silently, unhurried. His calmness is not ignorance of what happens. It is mastery over how he meets it. Stillness in a world addicted to motion is a radical act. To pause before reacting is an act of rebellion. The Stoic doesn't rush to respond because he understands that impulse is the enemy of wisdom. He knows that most mistakes are made in moments of emotional urgency. So, he waits, breathes, and observes. He gives space for reason to catch up to feeling. That space, between what happens and how he answers, is where freedom lives. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Modern psychology calls this emotional regulation. The Stoic calls it virtue. Because calmness is not an accessory, it is the natural result of self-governance. Every emotion is energy. The untrained man wastes it through reaction. The disciplined man channels it into creation. Anger becomes clarity. Fear becomes awareness. Sadness becomes depth. But to reach that state, one must confront the ego, the ancient tyrant within. The ego craves validation, dominance, and the illusion of control. It wants the world to bend to its expectations, and when it doesn't, it suffers. The Stoic learns to dismantle this tyranny piece by piece. He stops expecting the world to be fair, because fairness is an opinion. He stops expecting others to understand him, because understanding is a gift, not a right. He stops trying to win every argument, because peace is more valuable than pride. In that surrender, he finds immense strength. The world cannot humiliate a man who no longer needs to be admired. It cannot wound the one who sees pain as a teacher. It cannot seduce the one who has made truth his only desire. This is not detachment from life. It is participation in life without being consumed by it. You too can learn this stillness, but it requires dying to your need for control. Control over outcomes, control over opinions, control over the unpredictable rhythm of life. The Stoic's calm doesn't come from having everything under control. It comes from accepting that he never will. That realization doesn't weaken him, it liberates him. Because once you stop demanding that reality obey you, you begin to work with it, not against it. Watch a river flow after a storm. The branches and stones within it don't resist the current. They move with it, adjusting to its strength. The Stoic mind works the same way. He doesn't fight what he cannot change. He redirects his energy toward what he can. His focus becomes razor sharp. His thoughts, his words, his actions. Everything else, the noise, the gossip, the chaos, becomes background static. In Jungian terms, this alignment between the conscious and the unconscious self is the integration of opposites. The Stoic becomes both strong and gentle, fierce, yet composed. He doesn't suppress his instincts. He refines them. He no longer identifies with his emotions, but he doesn't exile them either. They are guests, not rulers. They pass through him, leaving wisdom in their wake. To live like this is to walk the razor's edge between passion and peace. The Stoic still loves, still dreams, still feels the pull of desire, but none of it possesses him. His calmness isn't the absence of fire, it is fire mastered. The difference between a torch and a wildfire is control. The same flame that destroys can illuminate when disciplined. That is the essence of Stoic calm. A controlled flame burning with purpose, never chaos. So when life shakes you, when everything feels uncertain, remember this: the world is not supposed to be calm. You are. Because chaos will always exist. It's woven into the nature of existence. But when you learn to still your mind amid that chaos, you become the calm center of the storm, the unmoved mover. Calmness is not the absence of emotion. It is the disciplined conversation between emotion and reason. It is the art of standing still while the world demands movement. And few people ever learn it, because calmness requires courage. The courage to pause when every instinct screams, react. The courage to choose silence when pride begs for an audience. The courage to stay composed in the face of misunderstanding, ridicule, or loss. To live calmly is not to live easily. It is to live consciously. Every human being carries within them a storm. Some call it anxiety. Some call it ambition. Others call it pain. The Stoic does not deny the storm. He studies its patterns. He understands that every gust of anger and every wave of sorrow points toward a deeper truth about attachment. What you react to, you are bound to. The more something can provoke you, the more control it has over you. The Stoic sees this clearly and begins to sever each invisible string, one by one, until nothing external can dictate his inner peace. To be calm is not to be lifeless. It is to be alive in a higher sense. Calmness is consciousness sharpened to precision. It allows you to see motives hidden beneath words, patterns beneath chaos, truth beneath emotion. When others are blinded by noise, you remain lucid. This is why calm people often appear intimidating. Their stillness reveals the frenzy in others. In that mirror, people confront their own lack of control, and few can bear that reflection for long. Modern life has trained people to equate speed with success, quick decisions, instant replies, impulsive action. But the Stoic knows that reaction is cheap, reflection is costly. He acts when reason commands, not when emotion demands. That's why his movements carry weight, because they are born of clarity, not compulsion. You might not notice him in a room, but his presence alters its gravity. The loud boast, the calm command. This serenity is not inherited. It is carved through repetition, through countless moments of restraint, through the small humiliations that force the ego to dissolve. Calmness matures in silence, not applause. Each time you resist the urge to prove yourself, you grow invisible to chaos. You begin to move differently, more deliberate, more graceful, less bound by noise. You stop chasing understanding from those who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop defending your worth because you finally see that truth needs no defense. Seneca once wrote that he who is brave is free. But bravery is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like sitting still when every nerve burns for action. Sometimes it's the decision not to retaliate. Sometimes it's the act of choosing peace over pride. The modern world calls that weakness. The Stoic calls it mastery. In Jungian terms, this is the emergence of the self, the integration of all opposing forces into harmony. the shadow, the rage, the fear, the tenderness, all accepted, none denied. When you stop dividing yourself into what you should and shouldn't feel, your emotions cease to wage war within you. You no longer need to project them onto others. Calmness, then, is the outer reflection of inner unity. It is what happens when the fragmented parts of the psyche finally agree to move in one direction. When you cultivate that unity, chaos becomes background music. You may hear it, but it no longer disturbs your rhythm. Life still tests you, but your response no longer depends on the test's difficulty. You act from principle, not provocation. And that makes you rare in a world driven by triggers. The Stoic is not emotionless. He is emotionally disciplined. He feels everything, but he chooses what deserves expression. That choice, repeated across a lifetime, becomes destiny. To stay calm in a chaotic world is to live as if the storm were your teacher. To understand that peace is not found at the end of the battle. It is found in how you fight it. The Stoic learns to see every challenge not as an interruption, but as an initiation. Each test reveals how much mastery remains to be built. The world doesn't give calmness. It gives the opportunity to earn it. And once you earn it, you realize something profound. Nothing external was ever the enemy. The only battle worth fighting was always within. The battle between reaction and reason, between ego and essence, between who you are and who you could be. True calm begins when you stop confusing noise for meaning. The modern mind is addicted to stimulation, scrolling endlessly between distractions, mistaking constant motion for purpose. The Stoic withdraws from that illusion. He learns to stand apart, not in arrogance, but in awareness. He knows that to think clearly, he must first silence the crowd within. The voice of anxiety, pride, resentment, and need all speak at once, demanding to be obeyed. The Stoic listens, but does not submit. This discipline is not a single act. It is a lifelong practice. The ancients called it ascesis, spiritual training. Just as muscles grow through resistance, so does the soul strengthen through restraint. Each insult endured without retaliation, each temptation faced without surrender, each disappointment met with understanding. These are the repetitions of inner strength. Calmness is built the way warriors are built, through deliberate suffering. Most people fear discomfort. The Stoic welcomes it as an ally. He understands that comfort dulls perception, while struggle sharpens it. The chaotic world is not his enemy. It is his gymnasium. Every test is a chance to train the mind to remain steady when the ground shifts. Seneca wrote that a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Chaos, then, is the whetstone of the Stoic spirit. But here lies the paradox. The more he accepts discomfort, the less power it holds over him. When you stop fleeing pain, you discover that pain loses its pursuit. When you stop fearing loss, loss can no longer enslave you. When you stop needing approval, disapproval becomes irrelevant. The Stoic discovers peace not by escaping life's extremes, but by transcending his dependence on them. You too can cultivate this strength, but only by facing your own shadows. Jung called this the confrontation with the unconscious, the descent into the parts of yourself you deny. The Stoic's silence is not emptiness. It is listening to the voices buried within. Anger may speak first, wearing the mask of righteousness. Fear follows, pretending to be caution. Beneath both lies the child who simply doesn't want to be hurt again. To meet that child with compassion, rather than judgment, is the beginning of emotional freedom. Because calmness without understanding is repression. Real Stoic calm is born from integration. It is not the cold absence of feeling. It is the radiant presence of clarity. When you integrate your shadow, you no longer project it onto others. You stop blaming, shaming, or idolizing people as extensions of your unhealed emotions. You start to see the world as it is, not as your wounds interpret it. That perception is power, the kind that can't be taken away. Imagine walking through a storm. The wind howls, the rain blinds, but somewhere deep within, there's a quiet rhythm, your breath, steady and anchored. The Stoic lives from that center. His emotions may surge, his body may tremble, but his awareness remains unbroken. That awareness is his fortress. No external chaos can invade what he guards with discipline, and from that fortress, he begins to radiate peace. Not the fragile peace that depends on silence or solitude, but the kind that exists even in battle. People sense it, an invisible gravity that steadies the room. His calm becomes contagious, his presence a reminder that control is possible, that serenity can exist in the midst of noise. To live this way is to live deliberately, to pause before anger, to choose gratitude over bitterness, to observe fear without surrendering to it. Calmness is not passive. It is active resistance to the forces that would own your mind. It is the refusal to become a puppet of your instincts. In time, you realize that chaos never truly ends. It only changes shape. Life will always test your balance. But each trial leaves you lighter, less dependent on control, more rooted in acceptance. The Stoic doesn't aim to eliminate chaos. He aims to remain unchanged by it. And in doing so, he becomes something rarer than peace. He becomes power wrapped in silence. Calmness, once attained, becomes the axis upon which your entire life turns. It changes how you speak, how you listen, how you move through conflict. The Stoic learns that calmness is not a reward at the end of chaos. It is a weapon forged in it. The storms that once shattered you become the very forge that tempers your soul. You begin to understand that composure is not a mask. It is the natural posture of someone who no longer negotiates with chaos. But to maintain calmness, you must confront a deeper truth. Much of what disturbs you never belonged to you. Expectations, borrowed opinions, the need to be seen a certain way. All of these are chains, disguised as identity. The Stoic's stillness is not detachment from life, but detachment from illusion. He learns to see through the performance of the world, the endless pursuit of status, validation, and victory. When you no longer crave these things, you reclaim your mind. That reclamation is serenity. Every human being suffers when they confuse external success with internal peace. You can conquer nations and still be at war with yourself. You can win arguments and still lose your center. The Stoic doesn't reject achievement. He simply refuses to build his peace on its foundation. His joy is inward. His discipline protects it. That's why his calm unnerves others. It cannot be bought, influenced, or provoked. To be calm is to see the hidden mechanism beneath every human drama. You begin to recognize that most conflict is born not from truth, but from insecurity. People lash out not because they are strong, but because they are controlled by pain they have never faced. When you grasp this, compassion replaces reaction. You don't retaliate because you see clearly. Their chaos is theirs. It no longer becomes yours to carry. This clarity transforms how you love, how you lead, how you live. Relationships cease to be arenas of control and become sanctuaries of respect. Silence becomes your native language. not because you have nothing to say, but because you no longer need to say everything. Words, like arrows, are released only when purpose demands it. This is the refinement of Stoic power, restraint that speaks louder than assertion. In Jung's psychology, this is the moment of transcendence, the union of consciousness and shadow into a state of wholeness. Calmness is no longer practiced. It becomes essence. The mind that once sought peace, now is peace. You are no longer divided between what you feel and what you know. Thought and emotion move in harmony. This is what the ancients meant by virtue, alignment of the inner and the outer, the soul and its actions. And yet, calmness does not mean passivity. It is not surrender. It is supremacy. The Stoic acts, but never from frenzy. He fights, but never from hatred. He withdraws, but never from fear. His calm allows him to choose his direction without distortion. Because when emotion governs the mind, decisions become reactionary. But when the mind governs emotion, even withdrawal becomes strategy, even silence becomes power. The world will continue to burn. There will always be noise, injustice, betrayal, and loss. The Stoic knows this. He does not waste his breath wishing for a gentler world. He builds the strength to endure the one he inhabits. And from that strength emerges something rarer than hope: equanimity, a steady, luminous stillness that no external storm can extinguish. In this stillness, you discover a deeper joy, not the ecstatic joy of triumph, but the quiet joy of alignment. It is the joy of knowing that nothing outside can disturb what you have ordered within. You wake not seeking control, but harmony. You move through the world like a calm sea, reflecting chaos without absorbing it, carrying peace without boasting it. And in time, you become the very thing you once sought, the calm in a chaotic world. You realize that the true Stoic does not escape the storm. He becomes its eye, the center through which all winds pass, but none prevail.